Hello friends, this is Scott. I'm here at my Salt Lake City residence in the demolished in-ground compost bin. And I'm here for one reason, and it is to get the stuff that I don't have down at the homestead, to plant new plants. I've got to put in carrots and beets and, more seed-like crops, and I want really fine, well-composted soil. And I do not have any compost at the homestead yet, because that's, again, that's what we'll be doing this year, is to create, I don't know if it's going to be 10 to 15 different ways to make compost, but that'll be future videos. But I always want to have a supply of compost for my needs. And again, I've been building, planting beds and things like that, but I've not had the raw materials to create the compost that I need on a regular basis, because you can never have too much compost. They say it's like firewood. You can never have too much firewood. So anyway, I've been demolishing the in-ground compost bin and slowly moving blocks down, and I'll be putting on the surface bin. The reason this one I didn't like so much, it was already a trampoline pit, so it was great, to create this little bit of a work area. But the big trees and the other plants, all their roots went right into that rich compost. So every time I try to screen it, it becomes kind of a mess. So anyway, I am going to dig into this stuff. I'm going to show you how nice it is. And again, it's going to have lots of roots in it, but it can only take so much at a time. So today my goal is to fill up a 40, I think it's a 40-gallon, 42-gallon trash can with the good stuff. And again, this was just static. I just, all raw materials just left here for a long period of time. And yeah, it makes really great compost. It's not, like the heated compost that'll kill, pathogens and weed seeds and things like that. So this might have some extra volunteers in it, but it's really good stuff, and I'll show you that as I get screening. But yeah, my goal is, I'm not set up much for a very efficient screening process, so I'm just going to grab my compost screen and a tub, and I'm going to haul 5-gallon buckets and dump them into my big garbage can in the back of the truck, because it'll be way too heavy to try to move it if I try to fill that back here. So yeah, it'll take a little while, but it won't take too long. And again, every time I come here, I want to take some materials back down to the homestead, and as I convert this yard into a beautiful flower garden versus, as my wife says, redneck paradise. So anyway, let's screen some compost. So here's a look at what I have left down here in my Salt Lake residences. I've got to move all this material down to the homestead. All those wall blocks will be taken down and used at some capacity. I'm not sure exactly, probably some kind of planting beds. Still have more block to pull out of here to be able to build my bin down there. But today I need compost because I've got to start planting seeds and down at the homestead, and I have none. So I want soil with really great tilth, and that's why I screen my compost. I always do. As you see with my big pile of dirt down at the homestead, I always screen that too because I don't want rocks. Well, I definitely don't want this kind of stuff in my planting beds down there. So as I'm looking through here, I see something. I see some worms. There's always earthworms in here. And I think I found one of my old chickens. Yeah, I do compost chickens, and people ask, is that a good thing to do? They do, it does fine. All the earth life will just eat those chickens up and leave some bones, and I can just crush those bones up, and it'll just be, bone meal calcium in there. So yeah, it's okay to compost. You just want to bury them deep so the animals don't get into it. But you see here, this is why the in-ground bin was not a great idea here, because those tree roots are binding this material in here. And again, if I didn't have tree roots, this material would be really easy to screen or to dig out of here and screen, because it is just finished. I mean, it's totally finished compost. This is soil, and there's a close-up. But as you see, the trees and the grapevines really loved it here, and great root structure. But that's not going to help me out any. But yeah, that's another reason I screen this, because we find lots of junk and debris. And when I do a static bin, which is just basically piling materials and letting them sit for a year, I'm not that careful. So if I have a plastic bag or I have some garbage in there, it's not a big deal. I know I'm going to screen my material, and therefore I will be removing all that stuff. So I don't have to be really careful up front. But again, I have a half-acre homestead, so it's not like I'm gardening on a bunch of acreage. I think I can manage this amount of work to be able to keep the compost and keep my garden beds nice and loose, and it's worth it to me. And here's the proof. This is what you get out of here. And again, there's a little bit of chunk, but there's nothing. I mean, it's well screened. It's broken down. It's got lots of worm castings in it. You cannot buy this material, and you can never find it to buy it, because you have to make it. And again, this is all basically no work compost until it's time to screen it. And do you have to screen? No. You can throw big chunks into your garden, and you can have you see a lot of on YouTube. You see a lot of compost that is chunky. It'll all break down over time, and that's fine. I prefer the tilth in my soil to be really good. I want loose garden beds. I want attractive garden beds. I don't want a bunch of junk. So I preload. There's another water roots. But I pre-screen because I don't want that material. I always want to have great loose soil with a lot of tilth, so my plants don't have to struggle, to go deep into the soil. And I like the looks of it. And again, if you do the work up front, then you don't have to worry about pulling out a bunch of garbage over time. But yeah, I enjoy the screening process too. It's a little bit of exercise. And again, if I had a huge garden, this would not be the way I would do it. And when I show you the other composting methods I'll be doing down at the homestead, I'm not going to screen everything. Like stuff coming out of the chicken yard, I probably won't. I'll put it in certain areas. Now, if it's going to be a formal garden bed where I'm planting vegetables for the table, I will screen. If it's berries and other perennials, whether it's horseradish or whether it's walking onions or whatever, I may not screen that soil. I may use some chunkier stuff, but for right now, everywhere I'm going to put anything that is going to dig, especially root crops that are going to go down into the soil, I want the soil to be loose and fluffy, and I don't want garbage and rocks and sticks and trash and all that kind of stuff. So again, I like pretty compost, and again, it was no work up to this point, but there's work to it now. Again, if this bin was not in ground, I wouldn't have all these tree roots to fight with. But yeah, there's a bucket, the first bucket, and look at that stuff. Again, I challenge you to find that material right there and buy it because it doesn't exist. So if you want to make it, that's pretty much the only way you can have this pretty compost. Now, if I want to make my own seed starting mix and things like that, this is the stuff I want. I don't want chunky, with a bunch of particles in it. And again, I'm not real careful when I throw stuff in here. And look, here's a sample of some of the trash. And I showed you a big piece of metal I had in there. I don't know how that got in there earlier, but yeah, there's lots of sticks and bark and stuff that's not broken down. I don't want that in my finished compost or in my garden beds yet. But it took me 8 buckets, I think it was. It's a 40-gallon garbage can, but there's a lot of nature's goodness that, again, I didn't do much to make it other than it took me some work to screen it. And I will be putting the lid on and tying it down so that we don't blow away all the way down to the homestead. And we're ready to roll. And here's how much material I moved, and there's still plenty there left. So I think I have at least one more 40-gallon garbage can. So again, I'm scrounging up compost everywhere I can find it, but this is the best stuff ever. And I just fixed my compost screen last year, and look, I already put a hole in it. So yeah, it's the screen's had a lot of wear and tear, but it's screened thousands and thousands of I shouldn't say thousands of yards. I don't know how many yards of material, but I screened a lot of material through that screen. But look at that stuff. That is just gorgeous. I mean, you cannot find that anywhere unless you make it, and you can make it in your own backyard just with using your garden plants that you're spent and your leaves and your grass clippings, and just let them sit, and they will rot into that, and then you just got to screen it out. You got pretty compost. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button, like, share, and comment. Thank you.